If you're a member of Congress and you get anything that looks like a chain letter, don't sign it, don't pass it on. I'm a Little Flavors. Welcome to another episode of the Motley Stew Show. My name's Luke Goldstein, your host, and this week we're going to talk about a very ill-advised letter that was sent from Congress to the leaders in Iran, bypassing the president. Now, this letter was actually originated by Senator Tom Cotton, a freshman from Arkansas, and it's been co-signed by 46 other senators, including Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and a number of presidential hopefuls for 2016, including Marco Rubio, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, even Senator John McCain got on board, Governor Bobby Jindal, and Senator Lindsey Graham. Now, if you want to go read the letter for yourself, you should, and it'll take you less than 2 minutes, and you can do that right here. But I'll summarize it for you. Basically, what the letter says is that no matter what Obama agrees to, it's only valid as long as Obama is president, because it's going to be seen as an executive agreement, meaning that the next president that comes in, whether it be Democrat or Republican, they can, with the swipe of a pen, just take out the whole thing. Now, the reason why it has to be an executive agreement is because if he makes anything more binding, it has to be ratified by Congress. And Cotton is basically telling the leaders in Iran nothing is going to get ratified by Congress, because he believes, and many of these other people believe, that any deal with Iran is a bad deal. Now, of course, there's a lot of rumors going around about what's in this deal. A 10-year window for Iran to basically continue with their nuclear program at a very low pace, and it slows it down, going along with strong international oversight, making sure that Iran is not actually enriching uranium into plutonium to make a nuclear bomb. But certain hardliners see any agreement as a bad idea. But right now they're fighting over an agreement that hasn't even been made, and the points of the deal haven't even been made public. So it's a little bit jumping the gun. Admittedly, in this case, it's a very big gun, like a nuclear-sized gun. Now, if you've read the letter, you can see that it comes off as sort of snotty, petulant, arrogant, and not surprisingly, that's the way the rest of the world is looking at it, including Iran. Obama's been quoted as saying it's an unusual coalition to see members of the GOP siding with hardliners in Iran on the same topic, because there are those in Iran who don't want any sort of agreement with the Western world at all. Now, before I was telling you, there are 5 countries, including the US, involved in these negotiations with Iran. The other are UK, France, China, and Russia. Now, when was the last time you saw all 5 of these countries actually on the same side of something? And you're going to be the one person to send a letter dissenting against it before it's even done. Now, the Iranian foreign minister, Javad Zarif, is actually quoted as saying, "It has no legal value and is mostly a propaganda ploy." He also followed that up by saying that it makes the US look not trustworthy. And he's connected it to the recent invitation to Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. None of these are good things for the US image, especially in these tense negotiations. So right off the bat, let's just say, in a nice way, it was a bad idea for Senator Tom Cotton, a freshman in the Senate, to go ahead and launch this submarine attack against the president. When Cotton was actually questioned the next morning about the wisdom of this letter on MSNBC's Morning Joe, he still stood by it, and he said his version of negotiations would be nothing less than complete nuclear disarmament from Iran. Now, there's a little sticky point there, freshman. Iran doesn't have the nuclear bomb. There is no nuclear disarmament. That's what we're trying to stop them from getting. So before you start sending letters to foreign dictators and emissaries, you might want to brush up on your present-day facts. Now, even back in the days of George W. Bush, officials there knew there was no way to make an agreement with Iran that stopped their nuclear capability completely. Right now, Iran is arguing that what they're trying to do is not make nuclear bombs, but build nuclear power so they can present electricity and power for their country. Now, to do that, they still need nuclear reactors, but they only have to enrich the uranium up to about 20 or 30%. To get to a bomb, you need 90%. So as long as we keep them in facilities that can't bring the uranium enrichment up that high, they won't be able to make the bomb. But if you go into a negotiation with Iran saying you can't even have the nuclear facilities at all, it's dead in the water. There is no agreement. Back in George W. Bush's days, this was actually quoted from one of his senior officials. There was no way to reach a deal without Iran retaining at least a face-saving amount of enrichment capability. So this isn't a new idea. This is not some brand giveaway that Obama just thought up saying, you know what, we could stop them, but I don't wanna. That's not what's happening. During Bush's term, they didn't just come to this conclusion by mistake. they actually tried it the other way first. They said no enrichment capability at all. They wanted to stop Iran where it was. And this is why that didn't work. When they made that decision, Iran had 164 centrifuges. This is what they need to enrich the uranium. Now, after the US decided to put a no enrichment capability law on Iran, it grew to 19,000. So obviously a zero-sum answer didn't work. Now, the responses from the rest of the world, and especially those in the US the day after the letter was sent out, was not exactly kind. In the far-right conservative circles, many people were hailing them as heroes, but that was the only place that was being said. In the rest of the world, they were treated less kind. The New York Times actually emblazoned on their front page, "traitors." And on Twitter the very next day, the trending hashtags were 47 traitors, Iran letter, and Logan Act. Now, for those who don't know what the Logan Act is, it's a very old law that some people are saying Senator Cotton actually broke by sending this letter in the first place. Here's what the old law says. Any citizen of the United States, wherever he may be, who, without authority of the United States, directly or indirectly, commences or carries on any correspondence or intercourse with any foreign government or any officer or agent thereof, with intent to influence the measures or conduct of any foreign government or of any officer or agent thereof, in relation to any disputes or controversies with the United States, or to defeat the measures of the United States, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years, or both. So it's pretty straightforward that what Senator Cotton did could fall under the Logan Act. But for those people actually crying for it to be enforced here, let's remind you that this act hasn't been used since 1803. So it's not exactly something on the books that's very active. And it's just one of those laws like jaywalking that is very rarely enforced, if at all. Now, there were some members of the GOP, Senator Susan Collins, Senator Jeff Flake, Senator Bob Corker, that did not sign the letter and said it probably was just not appropriate to do. But on the GOP side, that was few and far between. Now, after the letter's been sent, many of the people who did sign are trying to backtrack their way out of it. But that was not before the vice president decided to go full Biden on the people that signed this. Now, I know that Joe Biden comes off a lot kind of like your great goofy uncle, but he's been in the government for a very long time. He served in the Senate for decades. It's a place that he loves, a place he reveres. And to last that long, he has to know a lot about how it works. So he wrote an editorial the very next day that basically schooled all the people that signed that letter, mostly Senator Cotton. Here's a little piece of it. Under presidents of both parties, such major shifts in American foreign policy as diplomatic recognition of the People's Republic of China, the resolution of the Iran hostage crisis, and the conclusion of the Vietnam War were all conducted without congressional approval. Now, this is one of the boldest and most coherent things I've ever seen Biden put to paper, and it's worth reading that as well, which you can do here. Now, the White House got a little bit up on the high horse when they decided to put a blog post on their feed actually collating all of the negative editorials in the papers throughout the entire country into one blog post. So you can just read slam after slam after slam for those 47 senators. Might not have been necessary, but it does get the point across. Now, in reaction to that, one of the top Senate aides, who works for one of those people who signed that letter, said that the administration has no sense of humor. So the letter was a joke. The letter was a big funny. I don't get it. Now, the issue here is you've got some people in the government who have been crying for month after month after month about the separation of powers and that the president is making a power grab. But yet, this situation is exactly the opposite. Those same people who are saying the president's powers should be limited are now overstepping their bounds and going into the field where it is the president's purview. Foreign relations and foreign policy is strictly under the president, at least in the decision-making process. If you want something to stick, he does have to get it ratified by Congress, but you have to at least wait until he's done, until he has a possible negotiation or a possible deal on the table to actually bring back to you, and you can say no to it then. In the end, I think it's obvious that Senator Tom Cotton fired his shot a little early across the bow of the administration, and now him and all the people who signed that letter are likely going to pay for it. So what do you think? Do you think the letter should have been sent in the first place? Do you think they were within their rights to do so? And what do you think the administration should do about it now? Should there be any sort of repercussion? Just a little slap on the wrist or anything? Let me know in the comments down below. So thanks for watching another episode of the Motley Stew Show. You can like, favorite, share, subscribe. Always a good time. Stay tuned for next week. And as always, a little bit of Logan.
Logan, can you say Super Logan? Can you say Super Logan?
Now, in reaction to that, one of the top Senate aides, who works for one of those people who signed that letter, said that the administration has no sense of humor. So the letter was a joke. The letter was a big funny. I don't get it.